Good afternoon, Paul. It's Tuesday, the 6th of June. Here's the heads up brief for today. I'll also cover off on some issues from yesterday as you weren't here, but these are some key things to note regarding our client footprint and the security paradigm. So for the Southeast Asia production today, we covered 16 issues. In North Asia and Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 4 issues each. In South Asia, we covered 16 issues plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay, great. I look forward to reading all of those when I get a chance to catch up, probably at the airport tonight. But please, in the interim, go ahead with the brief. Thanks, Uday.
Yeah. So in Indonesia, at least 3 police officers were injured yesterday after a demonstration at a nickel mining company site in North Konawe Regency in Southeast Sulawesi yesterday. Residents from the area were protesting against the suspension of work at a block at the mine site that resulted in the unemployment of over 30 people. Protests turned violent and police fired tear gas.
Okay, great. I'll make a couple of calls in relation to that later to give a couple of guys a heads up directly myself. Thank you. They're not in the affected area, but they're in the head offices in Jakarta. Thank you.
Right. In Myanmar, Chinese brokered peace talks between ethnic armed organizations and the government concluded without an agreement. The Arakan Army and other ethnic armed organizations have refused to accept the Myanmar military's elections, which is what it is demanding of them.
Yes, and I think there's a lot more to it. I think China has potentially worked out that powerful ethnic armed organisations are going to present issues as their Belt and Road initiatives are pushed throughout Myanmar. So they're really encouraging centralised government, which is simply just a flawed, overly basic wish list. Simply not going to happen, especially given some of the strong autonomies that have been developed for some of the ethnic armed organisations, simply because those ethnic groups are so strong and unified that any outcome other than them maintaining power above their land and above their resources is not going to be reversed. It couldn't be militarily for the last 100 years under the Brits and then under the central government. It's not going to change now. Thank you.
Right. In Malaysia, the Selangor State Legislative Assembly will be dissolved on the 19th of June. This is the first of several state elections upcoming over the next year. The ruling Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional said that they will work together in the polls and they will work against the Islamic and more Malay nationalist parties.
Okay, thank you.
In Thailand, there's a couple of developments here. The Conservative Bloc, well, some people within the Conservative Bloc are calling for a national unity government, which the Move Forward Party and Pheu Thai Party says that there is no justification for, based on the election results. Meanwhile, the Pheu Thai Party's prime ministerial candidate, Shinawatra's daughter, has stated that her father Thaksin plans to return to Thailand in July. This is something that she had mentioned before the elections, and Thaksin himself had mentioned before the election, and it is believed to have caused a decline in support for the party.
And what came out of the talks yesterday about the speaker position that Pheu Thai Party is seeking in relation to MFP or Move Forward Party getting the prime ministership and Pheu Thai angling for that? How did that come about?
Paul,
what was the result?
Paul, there is no formalized agreement at the moment. They're still in discussions over it. They haven't been able to settle the issue as of now.
Okay, which is going to be very interesting because, as I've gone on the record of saying, well, before the elections, anything Pheu Thai Party is linked to Thaksin. Date of now his daughter, but date of history as well. As a result, we're going to see a situation where Move Forward Party is going to ultimately be depowered, be it through the excuse of shareholdings by Kun Peter in a media outlet, or be it just through other magical arm movements from the powers to be. But what is unlikely is that Pheu Thai is going to be in a position that forms legitimate power with any coalition, given the scenario and the powers dominated Thailand for the last 20 years. Are we seeing anything more in potential coalition partners on either side?
Not at the moment, Paul. Right now, most of the focus is on Kunpita's shareholding case, and there is a likely chance that he is disqualified and some MPs will be disqualified. And then based on that, the election results will be retabulated. And the election commission will only finalize the MPs at the end of July. So that's the main thing that's going on at the moment on how to move
And
forward
I
to
think-
circumvent this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think given that scenario, we can expect civil unrest if that scenario unfolds. And several other scenarios, we can expect civil unrest, including if there is just a coalition formed around the Move Forward Party, then we may see pro-royalist and what is now being called conservatives rallying, just so we could see a return to what used to be the red shirt or anti-monarchy and the yellow shirt pro-monarchy. And though it's no longer that simple, just to get away from using red and yellow definitions, I think civil unrest is becoming more unlikely.
Yeah. Moving over to Timor-Leste, yesterday, the National Congress for Timorese Reconstruction, led by Zanana Gusmao, accepted the Democratic Party's proposal to form a government with it. So they hold 36 or 37 seats out of the 65-member assembly, which is a strong majority.
Yeah, look, I appreciate that. And obviously, I'm just not long back from the election myself. We predicted that would be the outcome. It's great that it is. It's going to allow investment, some clarity, some confidence, and some good governance to return to Timor-Leste. I think it's very interesting to see that they've done that so quickly. When are they expecting to form government formally?
Paul, President Jose Ramos Horta wants them to take office this month.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Moving over to South Asia, in India, shooting and arson continued in Manipur yesterday. 3 people were killed and 3 others were injured in separate attacks. The deployment of central security forces has not eased tensions, and violence is expected to continue in the coming days.
Great, thank you.
In Pakistan, the Federal Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah has stated that members of the ruling Pakistan Democratic Movement Coalition will contest separately in the upcoming general elections. Now, these parties came to a coalition together to go against Imran Khan. And now that Khan is being pushed away and elections are going to be called, this alliance won't last and it will go back to the infighting that these parties had before.
Okay, I'd like to get Bhargav to just give me a brief on that in a little bit more detail later today, if possible.
Sure, will do. And in Bangladesh, the chief of the army said that security forces have succeeded in taking control over major militant training camps in the Chittagong Hill Tracts area. This is where ethnic militants and terror groups were operating.
Yeah, look, I've had a pleasure of getting to know that area intimately, unfortunately, and I'd like Bhargav to also give me a more detailed take on that, if not today, then tomorrow evening.
Sure, will do, Paul. Moving over to Europe, Middle East, and South Africa, Africa. The Saudi energy minister said that the country will curb oil production by 1 million barrels per day. This came after an OPEC meeting, which had several countries, including Russia. The meeting was held in Vienna.
Okay, I'd like to know, if you don't have them at your fingertips, which were the other countries. That's significant from a strategic perspective.
Yeah, I'll get that to you after this.
Thank you. Thanks.
With regards to the Russia-Ukrainian war, the Russian Defense Ministry said that it had thwarted a major Ukrainian counteroffensive along 5 points in the Donetsk region. They said that they killed at least 250 Ukrainian troops and destroyed 16 tanks and 21 armored vehicles. And also earlier today, a dam in the Russian-controlled parts of Ukraine's Kherson region was destroyed. Russia and Ukraine are both blaming each other for it at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that. I'd like you to get somebody to map that specific region out, particularly downstream from the dam. So you just need to extrapolate a few bytes from that, okay?
Yeah, sure, we'll do. Anything else from you, Paul? That's the heads up brief for today.
No, excellent brief. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks.